tournament is pretty much coming to a close. First of all, we had Johnson C. Smith women's beat Elizabeth City State. We had Bowie State women beat Winston-Salem State, which we're going to talk about. We had Bowie State men beat Livingstone, which we're going to talk about. And there's one more game that's about to start in about, let's say, 15 minutes, hopefully. We got Virginia Union versus Shaw, I believe. All right, so there's some things that I posted that apparently a lot of people didn't agree with, but I mean, listen, it is what it is, man. I'm gonna give my honest opinion of things on the ground as I see it, and from what I'm seeing so far, because remember, I'm the one I said that I think that Bowie State men and women's could make it to the semifinals, which is a game away from the championship game. And if you get that far, hey, anything could happen. But from what I saw from day one today, honestly, it's looking like both seasons are going to be over tomorrow, unless things change. But let me backtrack. As a Bowie State graduate, Bowie State supporter of all sports, and just of the university in general, I'm very pleased that we made it out the first round, both the men and the women. I'm very pleased that we won, especially with the tournament being in Baltimore. It's very helpful for us to, have some success in the tournament. So I'm glad that both teams won. They played back-to-back, got back-to-back wins. That's great. However, here's the thing. It's all about what scale you're judging the teams on. I was never judging both the teams on a scale of, oh, can we make it out the first round? Making it out of the first round for both teams was expected. If either team would have lost in the first round, that's a failure. That's a disappointment. That's a major letdown. So that wasn't the scale. My honest scale was always, how far do I think the team can go? And I said I think both teams have an opportunity to make it to the semifinals, to make it to Friday. Today's Tuesday, so Friday's a long way from now. It would be lovely if both teams made it to Friday. That would be lovely. All I'm saying is, from what I've seen so far, it's not looking good. Yes, the women's team came back from a 20-point deficit to win the game. Yes, they did. The issue, though, is being down 20 points in the postseason to Winston-Salem State in the first place. Winston-Salem State, men's and women's, overall, was probably the worst program in the CIAA this year. I think the men won 2 conference games. They won like about 6 games total. And the women won, 3 conference games. They won like 3 or 4 games total. Like, Winston-Salem State as a school, men and women's, I don't think they won 10 games this year as a school. So the question becomes, how do you find yourself in the position where you're down 20 points in the first place? That's the issue. And why is that an issue? Because you can't do that tomorrow. Or I got to look at the schedule. They might play Thursday. Whoever you play in the next round, you can't come out like that. You can only do things like that against bad teams. But after this first round, all the bad teams are home. All the bad teams are gone. You cannot come out that slow. It just can't happen. I mean, it can't happen. Then you get to the men's. The men had the opposite problem. They started out fast. They were up 18. And I hate to say this, but I gotta put a lot of this on Brooks. And the reason I say that is because if you look at the last 5 minutes of the first half and the first 6 minutes of the second half, there were some issues and some struggles with the offense, with the unit that was out there. And there weren't a lot of adjustments made. Guys are struggling to score. Guys are struggling to get the ball in the basket. Some guys not even looking for a shot. You got guys jogging out there. You got guys having lapses on defense. You're seeing the lead dwindle away. You score like 4 points in like 10 minutes. At a certain point, you gotta throw Barnes in there. See what he can do. You gotta throw that Virginia Union transfer in there. See what he can. You gotta try some stuff. All I'm saying, guys, this is the postseason. This is one and done. And you can't have a second half that like we had against Livingstone and expect to beat Virginia State. That's not going to happen. You can't go 10 minutes and you score 4 points. You can't have 9 turnovers in the first 10 minutes of the second half. You can't do that and expect to beat Virginia State tomorrow. Because that's what it's about. It's not about winning in the first round. You're supposed to win in the first round. The only teams that's losing in the first round is like the Winston-Salems. Those are the teams losing in the first round. We're not on that level. Like if Winston-Salem State, men or women's, would have won today or whenever the men's play, which is probably tomorrow, if they get out the first round, they having a party, they celebrating. It's expected for Bowie to get out the first round this particular year. All that talent on the men's team, it's expected. Just think about this for a second. The men's team has beat Howard. They beat the champions of the North convincingly, and they beat the champions of the South. They beat Howard, Virginia State, and Fayetteville State. The 2 regular season division champs in the CIAA and the team that won the MEAC last year. So it's expected to get out of the first round. That's what's supposed to happen. And all I'm saying, especially it's like when it comes to the men, especially coming off of that game at home versus Lincoln, where we saw very clearly 2 different levels of intensity. We saw how that plays out when one team is playing up here and the other one is. We saw that. That was a 40 piece at home on senior day. We saw that. All I'm saying is, looking at the 2 games, the intensity level that the teams are playing with is not high enough to compete for a championship. That's all I'm saying. Congratulations. We out of the first round. That's good. Because first round losses would have been embarrassing. That's just real. But once again, with this intensity, this is not a championship level intensity level that we're seeing right now. That's just what it is. You can't play at this level and compete. You're not competing at a championship level right now. This is not good enough to win a championship. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying this right here, this product that we put on the court today is not good enough to win a championship. You can't beat Fayetteville State like this. You can't beat Virginia State like this. You can't beat Claflin like this. You can't beat Lincoln like this. And that's the men's and the women's. With how the men and the women play today, you cannot beat Claflin like that. You cannot beat Fayetteville State like that. You cannot beat Lincoln like that. You cannot beat Virginia State like that. And so what does that mean? That means you cannot win the championship. That means you cannot make the semifinals. That means that's what that means. You may not agree with what I'm saying, but go back, look at the tape. Don't just look at our games. Look at the other teams. The teams that's winning, the teams that people are saying can win the championship. Look at the intensity level and the energy level they play at. Look at how look, and then look at like come on now. That's all I'm saying. What we did was good enough to get out of the first round, and that's about it.